Chapter 1. The fire had burned low, the kind that didn't need tending anymore because it had already decided how long it would last. Marek stared into it, rubbing his hands together even though the night wasn't cold. You ever notice, he said quietly, how no one's actually lazy, just tired of working for nothing? Lena didn't look up from the dirt she was drawing lines through with a stick. Careful, she replied. That kind of talk usually gets people called ungrateful. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. My dad worked 40 years, retired broke. That's not laziness. That's a rigged game. Across from them, Jonah leaned back against the barn wall, listening more than speaking, like he always did. What scares me, he finally said, is how normal it's become to struggle, like we're supposed to be proud of barely making it. He shook his head. If this is the best we can do, then something's wrong with the way everything's built. Merrick poked the fire. So what? We complain, post about it, vote again, and hope harder? He looked at each of them. Or do we build something that actually takes care of people? Food, homes, work that means something? Lena stopped drawing and met his eyes. If we do that, she said slowly, we don't just change our lives, we change the rules. And the rules don't like being changed. Jonah smiled then, small but steady. Good, he said. I'm tired of living by rules that keep people poor on purpose. The fire cracked, sending a brief spark into the dark. No speeches followed. No promises. Just the quiet understanding that once you see the truth, that people don't need to be fixed, only the conditions around them, you don't unsee it. And somewhere between the dying fire and the first idea of building together, chapter 1 had already begun. Chapter 2. Morning came without ceremony. No alarms, no rush, just the sound of wind brushing the tall grass and the low groan of the old barn settling into itself. Lena was already up, boots on, walking the fence line like she always did when her mind was crowded. The land had a way of pulling thoughts out of her, laying them flat where she could see them clearly. Murrick stepped out of the barn with a mug of coffee that had been reheated too many times. I kept thinking about last night, he said, falling into step beside her. Not the talking, the silence after. The part where nobody argued? Lena asked. The part where nobody laughed, he replied. That's how I knew it was real. They stopped near the far post, where the fence leaned just enough to remind you it needed work. Lena pressed on it with her boot. If we do this, she said, it can't just be an idea. Ideas don't feed people. Systems do. Marek nodded. Food first. Always food first, she agreed. If people are hungry, nothing else matters. By mid-morning, Jonah had gathered a small group near the barn. 6 people, all different, all worn in their own ways. Some had calloused hands, some nervous habits, some eyes that had learned to look down before the world could push them there. No one introduced themselves like they were in a meeting. Names came naturally, folded into conversation like they belonged there. A woman named Rhea spoke first. I've lived in 3 cities, she said. Same story every time. Work harder, fall behind faster. If we're serious, we need to build something that doesn't punish people for staying human. Then we don't start with jobs, Jonah said. We start with ownership. That word hung in the air, heavy and unfamiliar. Ownership of what? Someone asked. Of the land, Jonah said. Of the work. Of the results. No one here is temporary. Silence again different this time. Curious. Careful. Lena walked to the center of the group. This place could feed us, she said, gesturing to the fields. Greenhouses, gardens, chickens to start. Not to sell everything. First to eat. When food stops being a fear, people think differently. And housing? Marek added. No rent games. We build together. We maintain together. No one loses their home because life happens. A man near the back, older, with hands that shook just slightly, cleared his throat. What about money? He asked. Bills don't disappear just because we're trying to be good people. They don't, Jonah said calmly. So we build businesses that actually pay. Construction, energy, digital work, boring things that make real money. Rhea crossed her arms. And when someone gets greedy, Jonah didn't hesitate, then the system doesn't let them take more than their share. Power expires here, always. The wind shifted, carrying the smell of soil and old wood. Something unspoken settled among them, a recognition that this wasn't charity, and it wasn't rebellion. It was design. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Marek sat on the barn steps writing numbers in a worn notebook. Lena leaned over his shoulder. You really think we can make this work for 50 people? She asked. He closed the notebook. I think we can make it work for 100. And if we don't, at least we tried to build something that didn't eat its own. Jonah joined them, watching the light fade. Every system in the world started with a few people saying, this can't be the only way. He looked out over the land. The difference is, we're not asking permission. Somewhere nearby, a hammer struck wood. One clean sound, then another. No announcement, no ceremony, just the first small act of building. And without realizing it, they crossed the line between imagining a future and constructing one. Chapter 3. They showed up just before dusk, when the light was thin enough to make everything look softer than it really was. Lena noticed them first. Two shapes at the edge of the road, one small, one smaller, standing too still for kids. The older one held a backpack that looked heavier than he was, the strap wrapped tight around his wrist like it might run away if he let go. Jonah, she said quietly, nodding toward the fence. We've got visitors. The boy didn't step forward when they approached. He shifted instead, placing it just a half step in front of the girl, his body already trained for protection. His jaw was set, but his eyes kept checking exits. 10, maybe 11. The girl, no more than 7, clutched the sleeve of his hoodie with both hands. We're not here to steal anything, the boy said fast, like he practiced it. We just need a place to sleep, one night. Marek crouched down so he wasn't towering over them. You got names? The boy hesitated. Eli, this is my sister Nora. He tightened his grip on the backpack. Our mom didn't come back. No explanation followed. None was needed. Lena knelt in front of Nora, keeping her voice low. Are you hungry? Nora nodded once, barely. That was all it took. Inside the barn, food appeared without discussion. Soup, bread, fruit. No one asked questions while they ate. Eli watched every movement, counting, measuring, prepared to grab his sister and run if the air changed. When Marek slid an extra piece of bread onto Nora's plate, Eli stiffened. It's okay, Marek said gently. Nobody here keeps score. Later, as Nora slept curled up on a folded blanket, Eli sat awake, back against the wall, eyes burning with exhaustion. Jonah sat beside him, not close enough to crowd, not far enough to abandon. You shouldn't have to do this alone, Jonah said. Eli swallowed. Someone has to. His voice cracked just enough to betray him. I can work. I'll do anything. Just don't take her. No one's taking anyone, Jonah replied. That's not how this place works. Eli laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. Every place says that. Lena joined them, carrying a small lantern. This one proves it, she said. Food first, shelter first, questions later. The next morning, Nora woke to chickens scratching outside the barn and sunlight spilling through the cracks in the wood. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, she didn't panic. Eli noticed immediately. Kids always did. Rhea approached them after breakfast. We've got a rule here, she said. No one earns their right to be safe. Safety comes first. Eli looked down at his hands. Then what do I do? You be a kid sometimes, she answered. And when you're ready, you help like everyone else. That afternoon, Marek handed Eli a hammer. Not like a test, but like an invitation. You don't have to prove anything, he said. But if you want to learn, we'll teach you. Eli nodded, gripping the handle like it mattered. That night, Lena wrote 2 new names on the board by the door. Not under temporary, not under guests, just names. And for the first time since their mother didn't come back, Eli slept without one eye open, his sister breathing slow and steady beside him, inside a system that didn't ask children to be brave to survive.